This is a response to a comment that I think many people could resonate with. BPD breakup. Do you want a do-over? Do you think you've forgiven your BPD ex already, like really quickly? Do you want that ex back? And codependent, unhealthy focus and the circles that people are going around in. Hi there, my name's AJ Mahari, and I have 33 years of experience helping people heal and recover from BPD, NPD, relationship breakups, relationship types of all sorts, and also recovering from codependency, and many other things as well. Please check out my website at ajmahari.ca. There will be new information coming up there, much more in depth on BPD, NPD, ASPD, sadistic personality, which they haven't put in the DSM, dark triad, dark tetrad, what's up with BPD and this supposed, secondary psychopathy, or now they're supposed to be like covert borderline, malignant borderline. So much going on online that really, is it helping you? Maybe it is. But if you'd like to hear more in-depth and some inside-out explanations to a degree, then please check out ajmahari.ca for that, much more. And if you'd like to book a session with me, you can also do that at ajmahari.ca. There's a comment response here. So a person left a comment on my video, BPD understanding to a point facilitates codependent recovery and building a bridge back to yourself, because that gets really damaged when you're in a relationship with somebody with BPD, to say at the very least. And so the commenter said, another enlightening video, I fully forgive my borderline ex. This may be codependent of me, but I want nothing more than to help her heal and empower herself to see her happy and fulfilled, ideally back with me, says the commenter. And I believe I left a comment on that, but I don't remember what I said. I'm not going to look it up, but I was probably saying something to the effect of that this person still wants them back, and they said ideally with me, and that, they're in a world of hurt, and they're just going to increase that world of hurt by going down this path. And the fully forgiving the borderline ex before you've been in any healing and recovery process or therapy, that's really codependent. That's not really forgiveness. That's just your denial of what you need to work through and understand more about yourself. I'm not saying just to the commenter, people with codependency in general. And so you can't rush to forgiveness. And some people say, I'll never forgive them. And other people rush to forgiveness. Well, there's a time and a place in a healing and recovery journey that people might get to a place of forgiveness. But forgiveness is remembering and letting go. Forgiveness is not, hey, I'm rushing back to try again. With a parent with BPD or NPD, with a significant, with an ex with BPD or NPD, or many other relationship types. When you forgive, it's often going to be the last piece of the work, and it's a tremendous letting go. So you don't forgive to try to reconnect. You might think you are, but that's not genuinely what actual healthy forgiveness is about. So yes, this commenter, I fully forgive my BPDX. It may be codependent of me, wanting nothing more than to help her heal and empower herself and to see her happy and fulfilled, ... ideally back with that person. So like I said, I gave some response back. And then the next comment from this commenter in response to what I said, which I don't have in front of me, they said, she will forever be alone and unhappy, cycling through doomed relationships until she meets someone with the understanding and resolve to set boundaries and hold her accountable and enlighten her to her condition, no, ? No, absolutely no, is the answer. Why shouldn't I want that for someone I empathize with? Codependent denial here, with all due respect to the commenter. Person really still wants this person back. They want a do-over and think it'll be different, right? Like so many people out there. Understandable. It's how you're feeling emotionally. But it's your codependency. And it's what you need to understand about that and heal from your childhood that you're actually seeking something through your BPD ex or girlfriend or boyfriend or husband or wife right now, and or in the on-off positions, etc., of relating and recycling relationships and revolving door situationships, and you think this is the person. It's not. They're incapable. So codependent denial, codependent self-sacrifice. Many people with codependency just don't know what to do. Don't know how to let go. That's what the process of healing recovery is all about, and how to break the unhealthy bond that isn't broken just because they ghosted or discarded you or you broke up with them. So back to this commenter, said she will forever be alone and unhappy, cycling through doomed relationships. Yes, this is what happens to people with BPD, or NPD for that matter, and in different ways, because BPD is not a form of NPD. But that's their journey, and unfortunately they might hurt a lot more people on the way. And that's the other people with codependency's journey who haven't figured this out or know about this yet, unfortunately, tragically. And it is going to be the journey of the untreated borderline, because they don't understand consciously what's going on, and they think they can love you, and they think they do, and they think that they see you, and they think that they attach, and all none of this stuff is going on in these relationships. So yeah, what's going to happen to your borderline ex, or your on and off again? Why do you think you could control that? Or why do you think no matter how much you empathize with them, or you might still really have compassion and care about them, many people don't, many people do, why on earth would you think that you can affect any control or change or stop the person with BPD? This is the very codependent thing at the center of the whole situation. You can't change them. You can't fix them. You can't rescue them. And then when it's a borderline ex, yeah, you might still feel too much for them, actually, and not enough for yourself. And I'm not here to work with you if I resonate with you, to help you with that. And the other thing is, there's nothing wrong with having compassion or empathy, but if it's given out to your borderline ex and you're not giving it to yourself, that's the dilemma of a lot of people with codependency. And if you're not caring about yourself, how can you respect yourself? Like, it goes really deep. And then you probably have low self-esteem and you don't feel very worthy in the relationship category, and you're devastated and it's so painful. But you're going to need to take steps to learn more about that and to heal and recover, not keep going around the same circle that goes back to your family of origin and your childhood woundedness and what caused you to have codependency in the first place. So what's going to happen to the borderline ex? You have no control over that. Whether you feel about that or you don't care, you need to let go of that, right? Because it's codependent as all heck to think, well, this is what's going to happen to them. Well, it's their own. They have to get into treatment to stop their own patterns. They don't know what they're doing in that regard. They don't have conscious awareness. And so this person is still in a place of denial, where a lot of people probably are, in a lot of pain, and but I really empathize, and she's just going to go through this series of unhappy cycling through doomed relationships. Yes, but then this commenter adds, until she meets someone with the understanding and resolve to set boundaries and hold her accountable. There is no such person out there that's going to meet your borderline ex, say after 5 years or something, and she's gone through 3 relationships or more, and they're all rupturing and collapsing in the same relative way that it happened with you. There's nobody out there that's going to have the, quote, resolve, unquote, because that's not the remedy for this, the resolve to set boundaries and hold her accountable. Nobody can hold a borderline untreated accountable. And to think so, yeah, obviously really highly codependent, right? But you can't do it if you're still trying to do it. You won't rescue them. You won't fix them. You won't change them. You'll keep losing you, and your pain will grow. And nobody needs that in their life, right? And so there's going to be no person in that borderline ex's future who's going to have the resolve to set the boundaries, because they're going to be codependent too. And even if somebody has the resolve to set the boundaries, untreated borderlines don't pay any attention to that, don't understand that, want nothing to do with that, because their control needs and their right fighting way too powerful, their defense mechanisms way too contrarian, and etc. Not going to happen. So that person doesn't exist. And nobody can hold them accountable if they don't know what they're doing and they refuse to take accountability because they don't have the ability to take accountability. And then also the commenter said not only have boundaries and hold them accountable, but somebody that would enlighten her to her condition. This is another misnomer. If you're codependent, whether you're with that person with BP or your ex and just like this commenter and you're hoping somebody else is going to have all this resolved and be able to change his borderline or something at some point, not going to happen. And the other thing is, or enlighten her to her condition. And then they said, no, like in other words, question. No, the answer is no. This is not the way things work. This is not what's going to happen with your borderline ex. There's not going to be some really savior codependent on a white knight on a horse who's going to be able to like do what you couldn't do. No, because it can't be done. Or wouldn't you have done it? Because you tried so friggin' hard and you lost yourself in the process. And I'm talking generally, not just to the commenter. And then the commenter said, why shouldn't I want that for someone I empathize with? I'm not here to say you shouldn't want that for someone, but is that a healthy focus for you? Because you know, it's their life. And now they're your ex, and if this is the case, other people resonate with this, and I'm out here to work with you if you resonate with me in general. Why shouldn't you want that for your ex if you still empathize with them? Well, too much empathizing or compassion for them, or even pity, is you still not focusing enough on yourself if you have codependency and you relate to this or to the commenter. And it's not that you shouldn't want something for somebody, but if you're too invested in it, too focused on it, ignoring yourself, not taking care of yourself, not focusing on yourself, not getting into a healing recovery process for yourself, then that's a bit much, isn't it? Don't you think? Don't you deserve more than that? And if you want, this commenter clearly wants, as many people with codependency want, what they want when they still empathize with a borderline ex, because you want them back. Because the more you still empathize and have compassion, I'm not saying you'll be devoid of that entirely down the road when you heal and recover, but you won't be focused on it. So when people are focused on this way, as this commenter explained, and said in the first comment, let's not forget, right? Empower herself to see her, this is what this commenter wants, to see his ex happy and fulfilled, ... quote, ideally back with me, unquote. You see, at least this commenter, I applaud and appreciate your honesty and your authenticity. And you laid it out how you really feel. And I respect that. And this isn't to in any way disrespect you or anybody that relates to this. But ideally back with me is what this commenter said. And then in the comment responding to my comment, why shouldn't I want that for someone I empathize with? Do you see the connection? Ideally, this person will come back and be with me. I empathize and want that for them, but I want it for them with me. You want it for them with you. Do you see how that's just keeping you stuck and very hurtful and injurious to you? Because this commenter, and maybe many of you can resonate, is your ex now. And you want all these things, and you might be worried, and they're doomed, and they're going to go through all this relationship turmoil like you did with them and they did with you, but they create more or less unconsciously. That means you're still way over your limits and boundaries, and you're still focused on them. And what about you? Because, you know, it's okay. Codependents don't seem, a lot of people with codependency, the more severely people have codependency, because not all codependents are the same. People with codependency don't seem to realize how much you're negating yourself and how much you are contributing to hurting yourself even more. And it's the unhealthy bond, and not just to the borderline ex, or with the borderline ex, the unhealthy bond, the capital T bond, but it goes back into your family of origin, your childhood. This is why you need a healing and recovery journey. And I know a lot of people out there feel like they want to get the person with BPD back. But you want them back changed and fixed and healed and somehow the same person, but better. Well, if they do go to 8 or 16 years worth of therapy on their own and they do get better, with all due respect, people with codependency, if you don't go get better, but even if you do, you've had your time in the sun and the torrent of rain, etc., and it's gone now. And you need to move forward and you need to focus on you. And this is so hard for people with codependency. It really, really is. And so many clients tell me, well, I don't know how to focus on me. What do you mean focus on me? Because like that's narcissistic, isn't it? And people with codependency are all tied up in this idea that your worth, that your value, that whether you're a nice guy or a good guy or a good person or not is all dependent on whether this borderline sees you that way. That is so self-defeating, and it goes back to your family of origin and the woundedness there with a parent or a family member, somebody not seeing you and hearing you, somebody thinking ill of you or criticizing you unfairly. The woundedness of codependency comes in many shapes and forms in childhood. And the key thing you need to know right now, the commenter and anyone that resonates with this, is you need to get into your own healing and recovery journey, and you need to focus on yourself. And you need to understand why there are these unhealthy bonds and why you might still be hoping, worried about your borderline ex, they're going to go through all this stuff because I still empathize with them, or you still empathize with them. When I say I mean you. And, you know, like, and really, I want them back with me. You want them back with you. You're not yet going deep enough. You're not aware that you're going to get nothing if they do come back, if you let them come back. You're going to get nothing but more pain, more lost, more hurt, and around and around and around. And there's going to be no magical person out there in your borderline ex if they go through many other relationships. There's going to be nobody who can draw the line, draw the boundaries, enlighten them about their condition, and, you know, help them to be held accountable. That ship sailed, and it sailed before you even met the person with BPD. So what do people with codependency need to think about now? Holding yourself accountable. Holding yourself accountable to not abandon yourself anymore. Holding yourself accountable to get into your own healing recovery journey so you can find out why does everything seem like this borderline ex or a person you might still be with or on and off is so the person for you. You're so focused on them and not on yourself at all. Who do they represent in your life? And you need to go deep, and that's how I work with clients, to go deep, to understand and make these connections, to heal the wounded inner child. Many other aspects of this healing recovery journey for people to actually heal and recover from codependency and to work their way into healing from a cluster B relationship, whatever that relationship type. Often people who have codependency that have been in a relationship with a borderline or a narcissist or a psychopath, they have a parent that's just the same. Not always, but often. And all woundedness on the part of people with codependency, it might involve both parents, but not all woundedness with people with codependency comes from mom only. Many people are wounded by their fathers, be they male or female. So it's not always just mom or mom. Often in codependency, the biggest wounds people are carrying from childhood are father wounds too. It's not just all about mother wounds. And it could be a combination of both in lots of people's cases, one or the other, but not always mother. So it's not so simplistic as to say you have codependency with a borderline, in the case of men or lesbian women, you're with a borderline woman, and therefore you have mother issues. Well, you might have father issues because these issues don't know gender. Why do you still, if you resonate with this commenter and my response, why do you think you still think that they're the answer for you? that they're the person for you, that they're the way forward. When they're not, and you're losing yourself, and they never were, and you're trying, why are you still in a pattern of avoiding and trying to escape, whether you realize this consciously or not yet, your own childhood woundedness that needs your attention now in a healing and recovery journey?